budgeting hasn't worked despite earning a decent income, keep listening, because it might not be you, it might be that you're using the wrong technique. In this video, I'll take you through my budget map method. It's helped us save more and argue less while keeping the lifestyle we love. Now, before we dive into that, let's talk about why budgets fail in the first place. You see, most budgets actually fail before they even get started because the underlying technique is flawed. They're too rigid, take too much time, and make you feel guilty spending money on the things you enjoy. And then, of course, there's the unexpected stuff that pops up. I often hear we do fine with our budget, but something always seems to come up. It could be something bad like car repairs, but it could also be something fun, like a friend comes in town to visit. Or you find out that your favorite artist is coming in town and you want to go see that concert. Now, although fun, this will break your budget and sometimes make us feel like failures. Then, of course, there's the relationship component of budgeting. See, budgeting often becomes a source of conflict in relationships because each of you may have, and probably do have, different thoughts on how to do it. And what's a waste of money for one might not be a waste of money for the other. But budgeting doesn't have to be this way. What should the ideal budgeting method look like? Well, the ideal budgeting method should be easy to keep up with. It should adjust as life throws its curveballs your way, and it must be aligned with your values and priorities as individuals, as a couple, and as a family for whatever areas those apply to you. And if you are in a relationship, it should actually bring you closer together through the process rather than driving you apart. Now, my story, I'll be honest with you here, I was never great at budgeting. And like you, I tried many different methods, budgeting apps, spreadsheets, but nothing seemed to stick. And I also didn't like how it made me feel guilty when I spent money on the things I really wanted to and the things I really cared about. Plus, it was hard to keep up with. It's busy. Life is busy. And even though my wife and I are pretty much on the same page in life, we just couldn't get on the same page with budgeting. With 3 kiddos in the house, money was happening to us rather than us feeling in control of it. So then I thought, let's simplify this process and turn it on its head. There has to be a better way. So rather than looking at a ton of information, why not just look at only the things that matter? Rather than starting with what we need to stop doing, why not start with making room for the things we want to keep doing? And rather than working separately, let's start by working together. So with this baseline, I started from scratch and created a new method. And the results? Well, spending came down, we were getting along better than ever, and we were as surprised as you might be. And then I started working with friends and eventually clients, learning and evolving the process as I discovered more about what works and what didn't for people. And now this is what I do every day, all day. It's my job to help people budget effectively while bringing their relationships closer together through the process. I named this process the Budget Map Method. The MAP method is a budget technique specifically designed for busy families. It's designed to help you drive toward your financial results, maintain your quality of life, and get along better than ever around money. MAP, what does that stand for? The M stands for make a budget. The A, adjust when life throws those unexpected things throughout the year at you. P, prioritize. Prioritize what's most important to live your best life and reach your financial goals. I have an example, and I don't know, some of you this might not apply to, but I don't know if your parents ever carried an atlas in their glove box of their car. And remember being on the road and you're trying to get, let's just say from Cincinnati to Pittsburgh, and you pull out this atlas and it has the entire US atlas. It has the stuff in California, the stuff in Colorado, the stuff out east, the stuff down south, Texas, everywhere. But all you needed was that information to get you from Cincinnati to Pittsburgh. Having all that information can be helpful, but not in that moment. Now today, you can use your phone. We've got map apps in our phone. It'll tell you the best route to take, how long it will take, and what obstacles are in the way. The map app only puts the information in front of you that will help you get from your starting point to your destination. The budget map method uses a similar concept, only putting the information in front of you that will help you reach your goals. The way that people normally start thinking about budgeting is they start by pulling numbers out of the air. If you're trying to get a food budget, and let's just say that You think you're spending about $1,200 a month on food, and you set that food budget for $1,000. Can you cut $200 out of your food budget to $1,000? It's pretty doable. Now, what if you think you're spending $1,200, but you're actually spending $2,000 a month on food? Do you know what it's going to take for you to get from $2,000 a month to $1,000 a month on food? And all the things that's really changing how you go about living your day-to-day life with food. So we need to know what our starting point is first. Now we're going to talk about the simple concept of this budget map method. And let's think about this. The last time you tried to budget, did you come up with targets in more than a dozen categories? And if you've tried that before, did it actually help you stick to your budget? Maybe you went over on your food budget, and so you borrowed from the clothing budget, but now you're over on the clothing budget. So then you take it from your kids' discretionary budget, and all of a sudden you're borrowing, and many of the budget categories end up going over anyway. So tracking all these categories doesn't only not help you, it's actually probably creating an unnecessary obstacle, getting in the way of sticking to your budget. So the simple concept of making this budget is that everything should tie to just one annual spending goal. $1 spent is $1 spent. It doesn't matter if you spend it on food, an Amazon purchase, car maintenance, shopping, or a vacation. $1 spent is $1 spent, and it comes out of that annual spending goal. So let's start talking about how to figure out your annual spending goal. Number one, start with your take-home pay. So this is the money that actually hits your bank account when your paycheck comes in. Step two, figure out how much you want to set aside to reach your financial goals, like saving, investing, paying off debt, and subtract that from your take-home pay. Take-home pay minus your goals. Now, what's left over is what you can spend on whatever you'd like. Well, chances are you want to spend less money than you did in the last 12 months, or else you probably wouldn't be watching this video. But how much do you need to cut? Well, take your last 12 months of spending, that's point A, minus your new spending goal, point B. And that is the amount of money that you will have to cut from your budget. And there are two major challenges with this. Number one, it's kind of overwhelming to take a look through every single thing and figure out where you can make a difference. But remember, like the atlas, you don't need to look at every single line item of spending. Start by listing out the things you want to or have to keep, add them up, and set them aside. So this could be your fixed expenses, the things that are the same amount, same date every month. Add all those up. Things that happen like birthdays, holidays, travel, property taxes, insurance, payments, and also add a buffer because there are going to be those unexpected things. Then subtract all that from your annual spending goal. So now you have your annual spending goal minus your fixed expenses. You're not going to cut back on those, so you don't need to worry about those, okay? Now, the second obstacle with creating a budget is that it can really stress your relationship. Because if you're like most couples, you probably don't agree on what to cut back on, right? That's pretty much everybody I talk to, and myself included. And that's because most people start with where to cut and start that blame game. They start saying, well, you spend too much money on shopping. Oh yeah, well, what about all those electronics purchases you make? The way I like to think about this is, my wife likes peppermint ice cream, and I like chocolate ice cream. Now, peppermint ice cream, people usually either love it or hate it. Rarely when I ask the question do people say, I think it's okay. They either think it's eating toothpaste or they love it. Now, I'm in the eating toothpaste category, and my wife is in the love it category. And for me, chocolate ice cream, I like chocolate ice cream, but it's kind of boring. But when we go out to eat for ice cream, we go out for dessert after dinner, we're not arguing that she ordered peppermint ice cream and I don't get it, so why is she wasting our money on that? And she's not saying, well, why don't you just go to the grocery store and pick up a whole gallon of that for the same price of the scoop? No, we're enjoying what we like and we're enjoying our time together. And that's how this budget process should work. So rather than going about it from the opposite direction of telling the other person what to cut or thinking what you should cut out, start with the keeps rather than the cuts, the things that each of you understand you want to keep in your life. So what are the things that you need to spend money on that will help you be at the best version of yourself? What do you like doing on your own, with your spouse or partner, and as a family? And these things, just like fixed expenses, you do not cut out those expenses. We're going to set those to the side, and if there's any disagreement, there's no veto power. because even if you don't understand that peppermint ice cream analogy, or that person has their peppermint ice cream or their chocolate ice cream, the idea is that it's important to them. So we're gonna table that to now and work on the things you agree on. So now you know what you have to keep spending money on, so what's left? What's left is that the things that you can both agree that you can reduce and eliminate all together. Now, one thing to watch out for when you're thinking about cutting, after you figure out all what you agree on and the things that are important to you, is that, remember, this is not an on-off switch. You don't have to go all or none. You don't have to never go out to dinner. You also don't have to always go out to dinner. That would be like an on-off switch. What you can do is reduce the frequency or reduce the ticket price every time you go out, like a dimmer switch. We're not talking about getting rid of these cutbacks altogether. We're just talking about cutting back a little bit. So now we've made our budget. We know our point A, we tracked our spending. We have our point B, we've routed how to get there, the cuts that we're gonna make, what we're gonna keep. Now it's time for the second part, A, adjust your budget when things come up. If the magic of making the budget is keeping things simple while just focusing on the total dollar amount spent, the magic of this next part is when things go awry, it's easy to adjust. The key here is that everything maps back to your annual spending goal. When something comes up, good or bad, because it will happen, as you know, that all counts towards your annual spending goal. So you have to make an adjustment somewhere else. So if spending goes up in one area, it has to come down in another to compensate. The P of MAP stands for prioritize what's important to you. Just like in the beginning, don't start with cutting back on the things you really care about. See what's left over. Prioritize your values as individuals, as a couple, and as a family. Small unexpected changes mean small changes. Big ones require big changes. And remember that dimmer switch example too. It doesn't have to be all or none. There's a middle ground you can find. But your values and priorities are your North Star when those adjustments to be made. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, so let's put it all together. Budgeting doesn't have to be a complex process that's tough to keep up with and makes you give up everything you enjoy. The budget map method helps you make a simplified budget that could help you spend less and argue less while keeping the lifestyle you love. So if you're tired of feeling like a failure at budgeting, if you're tired of things always popping up that throw your budget out the window, if you're looking for a budget method that meets you where you are, lets you choose your priorities, and could bring you closer together through the process, the budget map method is for you. So book a free 30-minute call with me today. We'll talk through your biggest budgeting challenges, get you some quick solutions, and figure out how to get you the help you need to reach your goals while living your best life. So click that link below and let's book a call today. I can't wait to talk with you.